I should have screamed the first time I found my used sanitary pad under Chioma's bed. But I didn't. I convinced myself it was a mistake, that maybe the hostel cleaner had swept it there by accident. Looking back now, that silence almost cost me everything. My name is Amara, and this is the story of how my university roommate tried to destroy my destiny. If you're a student reading this, I beg, pay attention. What happened to me can happen to anyone. It started in my second year at the University of Lagos. I had just moved into Moremi Hall, and the room I was assigned had 3 other girls. There was Blessing, a loud worry girl who sold snacks and was always laughing. There was Ngozi, a quiet Igbo girl who was always reading or on the phone with her boyfriend. And then there was Chioma. Chioma was beautiful, I won't lie. Fair skin like butter, long natural hair that she was always posting on Instagram, and she dressed like money. Her father was some big man in Abuja, and she made sure everybody knew it. But me. I was just a scholarship student from Ajigona. My mama sold vegetables in Mile 12 Market to send me to school. I wore the same 3 jeans throughout the semester and turned them inside out when they faded. At first, Chioma was nice to me. Too nice, if I'm being honest. She would offer me her expensive creams, lend me clothes for parties, even buy me food when she knew I was hungry. I thought I had finally found a good friend, someone who didn't judge me for being poor. Amara, take this perfume, she would say, spraying her Zora scent on my neck. You're too fine to be smelling like clean detergent. I would laugh, grateful for her kindness. Ngozi would give me side-eye sometimes, but I thought she was just jealous of our friendship. Things started changing in November, right after I met David. David was a final year law student, and that boy was something else. Tall, dark, intelligent, and he had this smile that made my stomach do somersaults. We met at the faculty library when he asked to borrow my constitutional law textbook. We started talking, then studying together, and before I knew it, we were dating. The first time I brought David to my hostel, Chioma's whole face changed. She was forming smile, but her eyes were cold like freezer. Oh, this is the David you've been gisting us about, she said, looking him up and down. Nice to meet you. From that day, something shifted. Chioma started acting strange. She would ask me weird questions about David, where he was from, what his father did, when his birthday was, what time he was born. She said she was just curious and wanted to know her friend's boyfriend. Mumu like me, I answered all her questions. Then the strange things started happening. First, my grades began to drop. Me, Amara, who had never scored below B in my life, suddenly started failing tests. My brain would go blank in the exam hall, and I would forget everything I studied. I would read all night, understand everything, but the moment I entered that exam hall, my memory would scatter like broken glass. Second, David started acting distant. The boy who used to call me 5 times a day suddenly stopped calling. When I asked him what was wrong, he would just say he was busy or tired. Sometimes he would look at me with this confused expression, like he was trying to remember why he even liked me. Third, I started having terrible nightmares. Every night, I would dream of a woman in white standing at the foot of my bed, laughing at me. Sometimes I would dream that I was drowning in a river, or that my teeth were falling out one by one. I would wake up sweating and shaking, and when I told my roommates, Chioma would say, yeah, sorry oh. Maybe you're stressed. You should pray. But the thing that really shook me was when I started seeing blood in my underwear every day, even when I wasn't on my period. Just small stains that wouldn't stop. I went to the university health center, and the doctor said nothing was wrong with me. It's stress, he said. Rest and take multivitamins. I was going mad with confusion. What kind of stress causes bleeding that doctors can't explain? One Friday afternoon, I came back to the room earlier than usual because my lecturer was absent. Nobody was in the room, Blessing had gone to class, Ngozi was with her boyfriend, and Chioma had said she was going to the salon. I was lying on my bed, scrolling through my phone, when I heard a sound. Scratch, scratch, scratch. It was coming from under Chioma's bed. Rat, I thought. I picked up my broom to chase it away. I bent down, pushed the broom under the bed, and that's when I saw it. A small calabash wrapped in red and black cloth. My heart started beating fast. Something told me not to touch it, but curiosity killed the cat, ABI. I dragged the calabash out with the broom, and when I unwrapped the cloth, I screamed so loud that the girl in the next room came running. Inside the calabash was my missing underwear, the one I had been looking for weeks ago. There was also tissue paper with my menstrual blood on it, strands of my hair tied with black thread, sand that looked like it came from a cemetery, and a small photograph of me with pins stuck through my eyes and throat. My whole body went cold. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. Amara, wetin happen? The girl from next door asked, but I couldn't answer her. I was just staring at that calabash, my brain trying to process what my eyes were seeing. Chioma. My friend. My roommate. The girl who had been so nice to me. She was using Juju on me. Suddenly, everything made sense. The failing grades. David's distance. The nightmares. The mysterious bleeding. The way Chioma always asked me questions about my life. The way she would collect my hair from my comb, saying she wanted to plait it for me later. The way she insisted on helping me wash my clothes, even though I never asked her to. This girl had been collecting my personal things and taking them to native doctor. I sat on the floor and cried. Not small crying or loud, body shaking crying. The kind of crying that comes from your spirit, not just your eyes. How could someone smile in my face every day while trying to destroy me behind my back? The girl from next door didn't know what to do. She just kept asking, should I call someone? Should I call the hostel matron? But I didn't want to call anyone. Not yet. Because I needed to understand why. Why would Chioma do this to me? What did I do to her? Was it because of David? But she had a boyfriend, a rich guy who drove a Benz and bought her designer bags. Why would she want my David, who was just a struggling student like me? I wrapped the calabash back in the cloth, my hands shaking, and I put it exactly where I found it. Then I thanked the girl and told her not to worry, that I had just seen a big rat. She looked at me like I was crazy, but she left. For the next few hours, I sat on my bed, waiting. Waiting for Chioma to come back so I could confront her. My mind was racing with 1,000 thoughts. Should I report her to the school authorities? Should I tell David? Should I call my mother? But something told me to wait. To hear her side of the story first. Chioma came back around 7 p.m., her hair freshly made in long Senegalese twists, smelling like expensive perfume and looking like butter wouldn't melt in her mouth. Amara. You're here, she said with that fake smile. I thought you had evening class. How was your day? I looked at her, this girl I had called my friend, and I felt my anger rise like fire. Chioma, I said, my voice shaking, why? Why what? She was still smiling, but her eyes flickered with something. Fear. Guilt. Why are you using Juju on me? The smile disappeared from her face like someone had wiped it with cloth. For a moment, she just stared at me, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. What are you talking about? She finally said, but her voice was different now. Ada. I stood up and pulled out the calabash from under her bed. This. I found this under your bed. My underwear. My blood. My hair. My picture with pins in it. Why, Chioma? What did I do to you? The room became so quiet you could hear a pin drop. We just stood there, staring at each other, and I watched as different expressions crossed her face, shock, anger, fear, and then something else. Something dark. You really want to know why? She said, and her voice was now completely different. Cold. Mean. Fine. I'll tell you. She sat on her bed and looked at me with pure hatred in her eyes. You think you're special, ABI. Coming here with your poverty and your struggle story, making everybody feel sorry for you. Oh, look at Amara, she's so smart. Look at Amara, she got a scholarship. Look at Amara, she's so humble. It made me sick. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. But I never did anything to you. I was grateful for your friendship. Friendship. She laughed, a bitter, ugly sound. I was never your friend, you mumu. I only came close to you because I needed your destiny. My mother told me that girls like you, girls who are succeeding despite having nothing, have strong destinies. She said if I could transfer your star to myself, I would be unstoppable. And it was working. Since I started the Juju 2 months ago, I've been getting modeling contracts, my Instagram is blowing up, and even David was starting to notice me. David. My voice was barely a whisper. Yes, David. You think a boy like that would look at you twice if not for pity? I wanted him to see that I'm better than you in every way. And he was starting to see it, until you started suspecting and snooping around like a rat. The betrayal cut deeper than any knife. This wasn't just about juju or bad wishes. This girl had studied me, planned against me, and executed her wickedness with a smile on her face. But something my grandmother told me long ago came to my mind, Amara, no weapon fashioned against you shall prosper. Not because you're perfect, but because you're covered. I looked at Chioma and said, you know what? I'm not even angry anymore. I just pity you. Because someone who has everything, money, beauty, opportunities, but still needs to steal someone else's destiny is the poorest person in the world. Her face twisted with rage. Get out. Get out of this room before you what? I cut her off. You've already done your worst, and I'm still standing. Your juju couldn't destroy me because my God is bigger than your mother's native doctor. I picked up my phone and took pictures of the calabash and everything inside it. Then I called my mother, I called the hostel matron, and I called the dean of student affairs. What happened after that night became legendary in UNILAG. The school authorities investigated and found out that Chioma had been doing juju on at least 5 other girls in different hostels. All of us were girls who were doing well academically despite not being rich. The school expelled her immediately, and her rich father couldn't save her because the evidence was too much. As for me, I went to my mother's church that Sunday, and the pastor prayed for me for 2 hours straight. He broke every curse, destroyed every evil covenant, and restored everything that had been stolen from me spiritually. Within 2 weeks, my grades improved. My nightmares stopped. The mysterious bleeding ceased. David came to me crying, saying he didn't know what had come over him, that he felt like he had been under a spell. We talked for a long time, and we decided to start fresh. But the most shocking thing. 2 months after Chioma was expelled, we heard that she had a mental breakdown. She would walk around her father's house naked, talking to herself, claiming that the juju had backfired. Her mother, the same woman who had given her the charm, was now running from church to mosque to herbalist, trying to save her daughter. My grandmother was right. When you dig a pit for someone else, you're the one who will fall inside. I'm in my final year now, still dating David, still on my scholarship, and still succeeding by God's grace. But I've learned valuable lessons from that experience. Not everyone who smiles at you is your friend. Some people study your life to steal from it, not to celebrate it. Be careful who you allow into your private space. Be careful who touches your things. Be careful who knows too much about you. And most importantly, stay prayed up, because these streets and these hostels are not friendly. To every girl reading this, if someone is being too nice to you for no reason, asking too many personal questions, or collecting your personal items, open your eyes. And if you're the one doing juju on someone else because of jealousy, just know that what goes around comes around. That person's destiny is not meant for you, and forcing it will only destroy you. As for me and my future, I'm graduating with second-class upper. David proposed last month, and I just got a job offer from a top law firm in Lagos. The same destiny Chioma tried to steal is now flourishing beyond what I ever imagined. God doesn't share glory. And no weapon formed against his children shall prosper.